Okay, I think we are now live. Ayan. Ah, let's just wait a bit for a little bit more people to join before we begin. Today's video, we will be talking about the Miss International pageant and what are the things that we've observed, what are the things that we want to analyze with you guys with regards to the results of the pageant because this year, Miss International crowned a very surprising winner. I suppose. I think Miss Germany is the type of girl that went and flew under the radar for a lot of pageant fans, and I want to discuss what are the things that probably contributed to her win. So there. Let's just wait for more people to join in before we actually could begin our what call this our live stream discussions because there's quite a number of things that we need to unpack for this what do you call this for this live stream. Okay, so ayan, hintay-hintay lang muna tayo sandali ng mga kasama natin to join. In the meantime, may I request everyone to like yung ating live stream para it will be seen by a bit more people and mas dumami tayo dito sa live stream natin today. So ayan, hello Roscoe. Nice seeing you here in our live stream today. Sabi ni Roscoe, hello Jason, malapit na ang Christmas. Merry Christmas. Yes, Merry Christmas Roscoe. Anong oras na pala dyan sa Guam? I hope it's not too much of a hassle sa oras nyo dyan ngayon. So there, we have two people na nag-like ng ating live stream. I hope that the remaining people na nag-join, i-like nyo na din yung live stream natin tonight. Ayan, there are actually like 5 things that I want to discuss, major points that I want to discuss. And I think we need to make this video a little bit shorter than yung mga previous live stream natin. Last Sunday, nung nag-live stream tayo, we were able to lessen yung ating discussions to just around an hour and around 40 minutes. So I'm hoping na this time around, magawa natin na an hour and 20 minutes yung ating discussions because we have, a lot of things pa to discuss later on after the Miss International pageant. Dahil mag-uumpisa na yung bagdagulan ng Miss Universe. Ayan. Ayan. Thank you, Roscoe. Salamat sa super chat na function. Just FYI to everyone, you can actually we are already recipient ng yung super chat at saka yung super tawag ito may super stickers parang something like that on our YouTube account. So thank you very much Roscoe for your generosity. Ayan. Yung mga gusto magpa-attendance, comment niyo lang yung inyong mga names sa chat box and I will shout out your name as soon as it pops out. Okay, so gulatan yung Miss International this year because the things that we expected didn't happen in terms of the results. If I may brag a bit, 4 of the top 5 girls were on my list of possible winners. Unfortunately, wala totally sa radar ko si Miss Germany. Her name is Jasmine Selberg of Germany. Jasmine is actually the first German winner to win since 1990. Parang 1989 yung last time that they won, and that would make her actually the third German woman to win the Miss International na title. And I think the first win was around 1965. So ang tagal-tagal na din nung nung pinaghintay nila because after 1965 they won in 1989 and from 1990 onwards isipin nyo, halos 3 dekada din silang naghintay for another taste of their win. So it kind of cements yung idea ng pagkapanalo niya na hindi pa nagle-let go ang Miss International doon sa Barbihan na European looking na winner na bata. And if you look at the features ni Jasmine, she's actually very young. She's very how to say this, very porcelain doll yung kanyang how do you say this, yung kanyang features na tipong very Russian matryoshka na porcelain doll yung kanyang features and looks, kaya I'm not surprised that she won, but I am surprised na uh, na she gone under the radar ng lahat ng mga pageant na mga pages. So that's what I am kind of bummed about, because hindi siya napansin ng karamihan ng mga pageant pages, myself included. So it only goes to say that yung judging na process ng Miss International is totally iba as compared to the to the Miss World, Universe, and Earth na mga pageants. And let's discuss that a little bit later on. Maghanap muna tayo at mag-greet sa mga ating mga subscribers na nagsisidatingan. Ayan, Simply Lurker, hello, good evening Sir Jason. Good evening Simply Lurker, nice to see you here. Thank you for joining us. Hajiev, suki na yan dito sa atin sa pa-live stream natin. Good evening. Nasad ako kay Hannah, but I kind of get it. Same here. I was expecting Hannah to at least make it top 5. Or even top 8 man lang sana, but maybe this year talaga ayaw nilang manalo ang Asian. And I will be discussing that a little bit later, kasi I have a theory with regards to that. Fan, nakakasawa na rin kasi ang presence ng Pinas. Pahinga muna para mawala umay. Thank you, Fan, for that comment. I think it's not just that. I think there is a bigger underlying na what do you call it, na reason kung bakit siguro ayaw muna tayong pananalunin ng mga international na mga pageant competitions. Omorphia, hello. First time ni Omorphia dito. Hello, Omorphia. Hello, Sir Jason. Silent viewer lang, pero silent viewer lang dito, pero like kung nanonood sa channel mo. Thank you. Thank you very much for the support. Since medyo marami-rami na tayo, can you please like yung ating live stream ngayon para the algorithm of YouTube gets activated para it would show it to more people at dumami tayo dito sa live stream natin ngayon. Then we have Johansung. Johansung, thank you at nandito ka ngayon. Thank you for joining us. Suki ka na din dito. Akala ko si Cabo Verde na ang mananalo, Black Barbie na. Actually, that's the thing. I was actually expecting Cabo Verde to be the girl na mananalo, or expected na nasa front, kumbaga nasa unhan ng mananalo. And I didn't expect na first runner-up siya, kasi siya yung tingin ko talaga, kutob ko na most likely to win. Pero first runner-up is not bad, but I want to discuss later on yung notes. Actually, may notes ko dito sa phone ko na I actually want her as the first Black African to win Miss International, and what could it had meant if she won. Pag-usapan na yan a little bit later. Dumadami na yung ating mga comments, so I just want to run through all of this as much as possible. Gerard Asigurado, hello, good evening. Sir Jason, kaka-start lang po ba? I'm 5 minutes late, don't worry, we just started. Medyo in-explain ko lang muna dun sa unahan ng video kung ano yung ma-expect natin for the live stream for tonight. Simple Lurker, ako matagal na akong pinaniwalaan na hindi mananalo Asian this year, since 3 years na natenga ang crown kay Miss Thailand, kay Bin. di rin pala talaga mag-crown ng Woman of Color ang MI. Missed opportunity na makoronahan si Miss Cabo Verde. Pero okay naman si Miss Germany. That's the same thing. That's my same sentiment with regards to Cabo Verde because nandun na eh, nandyan na eh. I mean, lapit na. It could have been, it could have been something that would have enhanced the Miss International branding had they crowned a Black African this year. But let's discuss that a little bit later on. Fan is saying maliit lang talaga ang chance manalo ng each girl kaya dapat enjoyin na lang lagi ng delegate. Mukhang masaya naman experience sa Japan, which is actually true because all of the candidates were able to partake of the cultural offerings and tourist destinations of Japan. And for those na hindi pa nakakarating ng Japan, if you have the opportunity to go there, I would really suggest to go there kasi it is a country of contradiction when it comes to technology, when it comes to culture, and you can savor both and experience the best of both worlds. When I went there in around before the pre-pandemic, it was pre-pandemic time. I was able to travel to Tokyo, Kyoto, and Osaka, and those were some of the most memorable na places that I've went through. I went to I think the name of the castle is Naga Castle in Kyoto. I've seen the Running Man billboard in Osaka, and those are things that a lot of the girls were able to partake. I am very much impressed that despite despite the urge of the fan base to modernize the pageant, they stick to their guns when it comes to their pre-pageant activities, and I think that is something that I hope that they continue to do and not really change because that is what makes Miss International. It's the pre-pageant activities that involves culture, that involves tradition, that involves getting immersed with what the host country has to offer. Ayan. Simple Lurker, mas maganda yung performance ni Hana nung Binibining Pilipinas Finals. Congratulations pa rin kay Hana. I think there was something about the very cold na winter air ng Japan na nakabawas nung glow niya. I am not sure if you noticed that on even on her mga HD na mga photographs, very dull yung and pale yung skin niya. I think it's the very dry na winter that affected yung kanyang glow because during her send off iba yung glow ni Hana. During her send off at Novotel, she was really glowing. The skin was very bright, smooth. There is like an inner glow there. And I remember telling her that make sure that she uses, the very heavily oil-based creams na moisturizers so that it would not dry out easily as compared to the usual moisturizers, the water-based moisturizers that we should be using here in the Philippines. We have to remember the Philippines is a humid, hot country, so we need more what do you call this more water based na moisturizers because naturally magpo-produce ng oil yung skin natin. Unlike in Japan during winter, it's really dry and you need like heavier oil based moisturizers so that it would cling to your skin longer and better. Pasensya na, napunta tayo sa beauty products na hindi ko na wala sa intention ko na mag-discuss tayo with regards that. But I think that's one of the reasons why nagdull yung aura ni Hana and hindi lumabas yung super glowy, ganda na Diyosa-ness niya. So, I'm really hoping na sana na naagapan yon during the last few days of the competition. Medyo dumadami na yung ating mga comments. So let's continue. Roscoe, let's read yung comment ni Roscoe. Sabi niya, I didn't get to watch the whole show because I was getting ready for work, but I did purchase a ticket. The mobile app kept lagging in terms of video. So medyo disappointed si Roscoe with regards to that. On my end, I was I actually forgot yung start ng what do you call this ng Miss International na live stream because I was thinking in my head 1400 hours is around 4 p.m. here in the Philippines, and then I suddenly remember that no, there's like a 1 or 2 hour difference between Tokyo and Manila. And then I checked my phone. I think I posted on IG stories that the live stream is actually 1 p.m. here. So thank God I remember that. But yes, I understand your situation, Roscoe, because this is actually the first time that I've seen Miss International doing a pageant live stream starting really early in the afternoon. And I am glad so because Miss International is notoriously known for its 4 hour, 3 hours, 4 hours, and sometimes even longer finals. So there. Hajiev, my fun theory. Si Jad's Sukarno Putri ng Ligwak kay Hana, Cheka. By the way, I tuned in late sa show. Who was fan vote ba? Unfortunately for me, I wasn't able to catch who won the fan vote. Um, but I have a suspicion that for Asia and the Pacific, because they narrowed the 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 what do you call this the top 15 with with only two candidates coming from Asia and Pacific. So one of them lang ang pwedeng nanalo sa fan votes. It's either Hana or Northern Marianas. So it's up to you to interpret, what kind of result would have that meant. But my take on that is that even without the fan vote, Hannah could have possibly made semis on her merit alone. Where were we? Okay, I think we're with the comment ni Gerard Asigurado. Okay. But Hajiev, don't worry, pag-uusapan natin yung judge na yan kasi may sumpa tayo dyan sa judge na yan kapag siya ang nagja-judge sa Miss International. At tatagulogin ko dahil ayokong maamuyan tayo ng mga ibang kapitbahay natin kasi medyo sensitibo yung topic na yan na nabanggit ni Hajiev. Gerard Asigurado, I just want to know your thoughts sa swimsuit ng candidates natin for MI. Halos green one piece lang. Kylie at Isa Hana, don't you think it's boring? Are we leaning on the belief on this? I think all of the candidates were asked to wear green swimsuits for the Miss International na finals. Kasi if you look at all of the candidates, lahat sila some shade of green. Some were wearing olive, some were wearing, bright jewel tone na greens. Other are wearing, medyo dull na mga greens. So maybe it was a directive from the organization to wear green for the finals. But for me, green is not a flattering color on stage, especially in pageants, because it does not necessarily blend well with the background. That's why for most, pageants, a lot of girls would wear, very brightly colored jewel tones or, shades of white. And very rare yung gumagamit sila ng mga kulay na medyo on the patay na side. So there. Johansson, after coronation kanina, binisita ko agad channel mo if live ka na, sir. Nakalaban ni Maureen si Jasmine sa Miss Germany sa Miss Globe. Yes, actually, Jasmine competed in Supranational and Miss Globe prior to winning Miss International, which only goes to say na, if destiny brings you, defeat in other areas, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're gonna face defeat in other areas as well, other different areas as well. That's why siguro it was meant to be that her Miss Globe and Miss Supranational pageant experience was a learning experience in preparation for her to win Miss International. So Tama din yung sinasabi ni Catriona that you are never denied, only redirected. Ayan. Fan, mababa raw talaga bet ng MI. So, Nicole Borromeo in person, medyo mababa siya. Sana next year makuha niya. Okay, no, nag-backtaw yung mga comments. Wait, let's scroll back. Dustin Perolonia, hello po. Super happy ako sa placement natin. Hello, Dustin. First time kitang narinig na nag-comment sa ating channel. So, welcome. Super happy ako sa placement natin. Ako happy ako, but I would have wanted more. Pero yan, kahaman lang ang peg. But I think, Hannah deserved her placement. But I wanted more for Hannah because she also deserves a higher placement. However, maybe it's just that is how, Lady Luck uh, has drawn the lot on the girls. Siguro yung iba mas maswerte lang talaga kaysa kay Hannah this year. So there. Worry. Gerard Asigurado. Can we get in depth on her wardrobe, especially the technical make of each? We are not bashing Hannah. We're just really expecting what she really deserved. Do you think na madali lahat ito? I don't think that it has something to do with the wardrobe. I think it has something to do with the fact that in my theory was that they're not ready to crown another Asian. The Miss International is not ready to crown another. Okay, let's continue na siguro. Let's start the actual discussion with that point because among the five things that I wanted to discuss is yung almost zero Asian na nakapasok sa top 15 this year. And the reason why that I was thinking na baka ayaw nila ng Asian manalo this year, it's either because if you look at the history ng Miss International, itong mga nakaraang 10 taon, it's either Latina or Asian yung nananalo. Let's start in 2010. I think 2010 was Venezuela, 2011 was Ecuador, 2012 was Japan, 2013 was Philippines, 2014 was Puerto Rico, 2015 is Venezuela, 2016 is Philippines, 2017 is Indonesia, 2018 is Venezuela, 2019 is Thailand. So gets nyo? Doon sa nabanggit kong 10 taon na yon, walang European, walang African na nanalo. And I think that is also the reason why wala silang balak kumorona ng Asian or Latina this year. As I was going through yung results earlier after the pageant, napansin ko lahat ng mga Latina nasa lower end ng what you call this, lower end ng mga runners up. Like for example, si Peru na inaasahan ko na isa sa mga pwedeng manalo, nasa second runner up. Colombia is third runner up, and then fourth runner up si Dominican Republic. I was actually expecting either nung naiiwan na lang siguro is 6 na mga girls na hindi pa natatawag yung first runner up. I was actually expecting na ay talagang wala silang gustong ipanalo na Latina. And then I was thinking na baka African for the first time ipanalo nila. And that is one of the reasons why bigla akong napabalikwas after all of the pageant was done, that they may not be wanting to crown an Asian this year or a Latina. And it was very visible naman dun sa resulta kasi the only Asian girl to make semis is Hannah, and she only was able to penetrate until the top 15. That already was alarming for me na talagang ayaw nila magkorona ng Asia this year. And then looking at yung placement ng mga Latina doon sa top 5 na nandun sila sa lower end nung mga runner up na mga position, then that cemented my idea that they're not looking for an Asian or a Latina to win Miss International this year, because for the past 10 years it's always been a Latina or Asian who won the crown. So, isipin mo, Japan, Philippines, Indonesia, and then Thailand. And then, dumagdag pa yung kaso natin na halos tatlong taon na na-delay ang Miss International because of the pandemic. So, an Asian held the title for essentially 3 years. So, that probably is a reason why walang Asian na nakapasok. Okay, let's jump in muna dun sa mga comments para we get this, live stream along. Nasa na ba tayo? Okay, we are with JJ Stark. Maganda style ni Hannah sa national costume. Sana ganun din ang hairstyle niya during the evening gown. I agree. Mas maganda si Hannah naka-hair up. Mark Gonzalez, good PM, sir. I haven't watched the entire pageant, although I caught snippet of it. Hannah deserves at least a top 8 finish, but the competition is strong, which is I agree. Germany is a good choice for MI, in my humble opinion. Gerard Asigurado is saying, what do you think of Hannah's game on social media presence? Do you think it came a bit dull since she just reposted everything? Kind of hindi naging personal yung IG stories niya. Sobrang sayang yung opportunity. I'm not sure na the social media presence contributed to her downfall. Kasi hindi naman ito um, how do I say this? It's not a scored part of the competition, but my take on this is dapat siguro binuo niya muna yung message niya, yung kanyang social media na game plan bago siya pumunta ng Japan. I think that the better course of action would have been na nag-ingay siya sa social media 3 months before the Miss International na pageant, na nilamanan na niya yung kanyang social media na mga tawag ito, na mga accounts with what she has accomplished with her UNSDG na mga what do you call this, na mga activities, mga glam shots, everything that that would immediately put her in everybody else's headspace prior to the actual competition, so that on the actual competition she wouldn't need to have so much daily updates on her socials, and she would have just focused on the competition itself. I think that's for me the better game plan, na pwede naman na hindi siya araw-araw mag-post when she's in what do you call this, in Tokyo or in Japan, and then very strategic lang yung mga posts niya, because maybe yun din ang hinahanap ng org, na okay, post something about your activities, daily activities on your socials, uh, as a way to promote the pageant. But I don't think na yung mag-start siyang mga OOTD, what do you call this, mag-build up ng image niya while she is at the pageant, during the actual na pageant duration. I don't think that would have helped. I think my personal take on this is that building her brand should have happened 2 months, 3 months prior to her competition this December. Yon. Thoughts on holding a coronation in the afternoon? Yes na yes, fan. Kasi fan, you have to remember, ang Miss International, they're very notorious to go overboard when it comes to their length ng kanilang pageant. Umaabot sila ng 5 oras kung minsan sa kanilang mga pageant. And yes, I would, I'm okay with having an afternoon start and then finish, early evening. Just in case na go overboard sila, because you have to remember, Miss International, they do things very differently as compared to the Alpha 4 na pageants. With Miss International, yung scores nila, some of their scores are actually done during the finals, wherein they are judged, I think, on their swimsuits, on their evening gowns, their national costumes. That is why if you look at yung this year, yung swimsuit evaluation nila nangyari noong December 10, and then during the pasarela ng all candidates in their swimsuits, grupo na lang sila ng Asian, Oceania, and African girls, ganyan. Hindi na yung isa-isa silang lumabas. So I think that's, that is something na na-appreciate ko dahil umikli yung oras ng finals nila. Ayan. Pero ang haba pa din, sa totoo lang, nahahabaan pa din ako. But I think para silang yung old Binibining Pilipinas na pageant na dun sa actual na night pa lang sila gina-judge, na kaya lahat ng 40 candidates rumarampa ng evening gown, rumarampa ng swimsuit. Kaya ngayon mas appreciate ko yung kanilang what do you call this, kanilang finals, because there were changes. Ayan, speaking of changes, let us now talk about some of the changes that I really loved regarding the Miss International pageant, because that's actually one of the things na gusto kong i-discuss. If you noticed, medyo nag-iba yung format nila this year. Medyo umikli. Nagkaroon sila ng mga performances. Medyo mas modern yung performance nila. It was a good balance between the old and the new. Kung di nyo natatanong, yung taiko na ensemble was something that is very traditional for the Japanese. And yung guitar na performer, the guitarist na nag-perform, mixing that up made it a little bit more modern in my perspective. However, ang pinaka nagandahan ako na pagbabago is actually the stage. If you look at the stage, hindi na siya yung puting hagdanan, puting kurtina or pulang kurtina, tapos isang maliit na LED lang doon sa likod. And then may mga kurtina pa silang nalalaman. This time around, I can actually see that there was a very glossy na 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 stage, ang kintab ng stage, yung flooring, I think ginamitan nila nung reflective na tile. Tapos although meron pa yung mga hagdanan kung saan pupupwesto yung mga girls, hindi na sila yung katulad ng dati na puting hagdanan, puting platforms. This time around, it looks much more modern. I appreciated, the LED screen na background, na backdrops. It's not as huge as the Miss Earth na LED in the Cove, Manila, but it's more than enough to elevate the pageant and make it a little bit more modern. I would have wanted siguro na yung mga backdrops nila medyo Japanese themed, like may mga sakura blossoms sana na mga backdrop for, I don't know, their um, evening gown competition, for example. O kaya tapos may Mount Fuji na background for their swimsuit na what do you call this, na presentation during the finals, no. But overall, I think it was really a great step towards the more modern way of doing pageantry. Ang hindi ko lang siguro na appreciate is again the length, na they could have made it a little bit faster in pacing. But coming from the understanding na gusto nilang mabigyan ng enough exposure all of the candidates, then I think the cutting the exposure of the candidates would have been a something that they didn't like to do. So I understand that, because I would rather also give moment for the candidates to shine on stage rather than have their particular moment on stage cut off to just maybe a 5-second na exposure. I don't want that naman for the candidates, especially because Miss International doesn't have the traditional, pageant preliminaries per se that they parade in their swimsuits and evening gowns. So Miss International doesn't have that. So I'm still glad that the candidates themselves were able to be seen on stage on the finals. Ayan. Let's basa muna mga comments. Okay? Nasaan na ba tayo? I think we are with Fan. Sabi ni Fan, nawala ang... Wait lang, let me just scroll up kasi nag move. Ayun, Fan. Minsan OA na rin ng mga Pinoy sa pagpa-pressure ng mga reps ng Pinay as if alam nila lahat ng nangyayari sa journey ng candidates. Tas after ng pageant, marami pang hanash na kinulong sa ganito, ganyan. I think I think there is, there is different perspectives doon sa sinabi mo, Fan. Because it's also good to know where we lacked on so that next time around, we have a game plan to cover what we shouldn't do. But I think yung pinupunto mo is if we keep on dwelling on the missed opportunities rather than focus on, you know, uh, the wins, even if it's small or lesser than the main win. I think yun yung kulang sa atin as a group, as Filipino fan na community, that we need to start looking at things na yes, it's okay to look na punahin kung ano yung mga saan tayo kinulang, but it's also good that we start practicing looking at what are the things that we've won and what are the things that we achieved, rather than just focusing on what went wrong. Let's also focus on what went right. The mere fact that Hannah was the only girl from Asia to make it to the top 15, that should be, a proud moment for us, because at least there is one Asian representative who made top 15, diba? So it's just a balancing of the puna versus yung puri, di ba? Okay lang na pumuna ka. Huwag ka lang namang masyado mag-dwell sa mga ano yung kinulang, ano yung hindi nagawa. Titignan mo din na purihin mo din yung mga ano yung nagawa, ano yung na-achieve, ano yung mga naging positibo na outcomes. Diba? Which, good for you to mention that, Fan. Ping, hello, magandang gabi. Kumusta ka? Bandy, good evening, Sir Jason. Bandy Kot, isa yan din sa mga regular natin dito. Bandy saying na the blessing in disguise in all of this is Nicole Borromeo will compete in a blank slate, meaning she is not facing great pressure had Hannah Arnold win or place high. Agree. Which means also that, next year, lahat ng mga natutunan niya kay Hannah sa kanyang participation sa Miss International this year, pwede niya ngayong i-apply sa kanyang kompetensya next year. And she has, more than enough time to prepare and start, drilling and grilling yung mga areas na kinakailangan niyang pagtuunan ng pansin for her competition. Saan na tayo? Teodulu Suyu. Hi sir, ka-level mo po si Tita L. Gusto kita sir, magaling ka. Salamat. Thank you for that compliment. If hindi mo na tatanong, Tita and I are good friends. Kaya siguro kaya nasasabi mo yan is they say that, birds of the same feather flock together. And the good thing kasi with Tita is that we are both respectful of each other's opinion, even if magkasalungat minsan yung mga opinions namin. But kapag nagkikita kami, mas madalas yung opinions namin nagtutugma on yung perspectives namin on certain issues, kung minsan mas madalas mas nagtutugma. Ayan. Art Laurent, hello Art, kumusta? Wala, how's life in your new continent? I know na very busy ka because of your move there, but I hope that you're enjoying and you're having a time of your life there. Hola friends, sorry na late. I had an unexpected guest in my flat a while ago. Ayan! Ako, may date si Art. Ayan, Fan. Sabi niya, I think sa wardrobe ni Hana, naging safe lang sila. Ayaw nilang masyadong pasabog kasi baka hindi bet ng MI ang ganun, which I think was the right choice. If, especially, 3 years tayong, almost 3 years tayong walang Miss International na, ano, na competition. There are possibly things na nagbago sa perspektibo ng organization with regards to how to run their pageants, how to look for what are possible winners. Anong mga qualities that they are gonna look for with possible winners, whether it's in styling, demeanor, etc. So maybe siguro lahat ng mga candidates this year, nag-play safe. And I think there's nothing wrong with that naman. Yun lang, because of, not everyone knows what to expect after the pandemic. Ang tingin ko lahat ng mga candidates this year sumunod sa template. Kumbaga parang if you're looking at the candidates this year, wala akong nakitang super super stand out in terms of wardrobe, unlike nung panahon ni Edimar. Nung panahon ni Edimar, alam mong araw-araw pack ang suot niya. Very tight, well curated yung mga suot niya. This year I didn't see that. So maybe there is a reason why siguro lahat ng mga candidates collectively, nasa safe side yung kanilang styling for Miss International this year. J Star, or no, it's JJ Star. Pero in fairness, ng 2019, 4 out of 8 din naman pumasok na Asian. So tama. And also, just to bring back to the conversation earlier, na ayaw nilang kumorona ng Miss ng Asian perhaps this year. I think siguro if you look at yung mga smaller level na mga pageants, lahat sila kumukorona ng Asian. So maybe Miss International wanted something different. Na ayaw nilang sumabay doon sa dun sa trend na sige, kumorona tayo ng Filipino, ng Thai, ng Indonesian, ng Vietnamese, just in order for us, to go with the flow. No, I don't think that they're into that mindset. I think that really this year they avoided, crowning a Latina and an Asian simply because, as I said, for the past 10 years, the winners has largely been either a Latina or an Asian. Okay, Bandy. Yung comment ni Bandy, medyo mabigat ito. Sabi ni Bandy, quote, I'm starting to believe that the Miss International organization has not stopped their old ways. I'm expecting Peru to take the crown, but she placed third. It's also a fact that she's 28 and Cabo Verde is black. Ayan, sige, pag-usapan na natin yan. Kasi nabanggit mo na rin lang naman si Cabo Verde at nabanggit mo na rin yung age. Those are things that I actually wanted to discuss ngayong gabi for this live stream because the Miss International essentially went back to their most winning age. I think in my blog, what do you call this? I've written a study on the winning ages ng mga alpha pageants. Yung mga winnable winnable ages sa mga international competitions. And I think it's Miss International and Miss World na yung pretty much very very young, nasa younger na age yung kanilang hinahanap na winner. And yung in most yung natin yung nito yung point ko on the age is that 2 years essentially, dalawang editions yung in-skip ng Miss International, the 2020, the 2021 na edition. And I would have thought na at that at that rate, medyo nag-ano naman sana, nag, nagkaroon ng leeway sila when it comes to age. Kasi nagkaroon na tayo ng ano ng issue diyan ah, sa Miss International dahil 'di ba they used to have like 27 na age age requirement or something like that. Tinaasan nila to 28, tinaasan nila 29, and then ibinalik nila ng 28. Yun yung isa sa medyo yun yung isa sa mga yung sa mga gusto ko sana na tawag ito na medyo ayusin nila because there is a certain ageism in Japan that is pervasive. I think I've written this. I've written about the ageism in Japan in our blog and discussed that at length. And what I wanted, ang gusto ko sanang i-point out is sana mas maluwag sila when it comes to the age. Because essentially, nag-postpone sila ng pageant nila. In their finals, they paid homage dun sa mga Miss International candidates na hindi sumali, hindi nakasali this year because either nag-age out sila or what do you call this, nag-step back sila voluntarily and not compete in Miss International. I was hoping na sana they've learned from that experience. Kasi, sandali lang let me just copy it, dito yung tawag nito, yung age range, yung blog post natin on the age range ng winning Miss International and the Alpha Pageants. Kasi itong ipinost ko na sa comment section ngayon, that was a blog post that I've written in 2018, and essentially dito sa blog post na yan, yung average age ng Miss International is around 20 years old. Yung mode na age is between 20 and 21 because yun yung pinakamaraming age na nananalong Miss International. Pinakabata nila na winner, I think it's Melanie Marquez, and yung pinaka matanda nilang winner was I think Ikumi Yoshimatsu ng Japan at age 25. And yung winning age range nila is quite very wide. Because yung age range ng nananalo sa kanila it's 15 to 25. So medyo mahaba yung yung age range niya. But in the history of Miss International, mas marami yung nananalo na nasa age 20-21. So just take that with a grain of salt when it comes to to yung interpretation nyo doon sa mga numbers na yan. But it says something that mas prefer nila yung bata. And then, Bandy, with regards to the African thing, up until this point, wala pang African na nanalong Miss International. And I think that is one of the reasons why the pageant is sometimes, ascribed to be racist because they have never had a African win Miss International. Not even a white African at may nanalo na sa Miss International. So imagine that. It was, for me, a huge opportunity loss for Miss International to crown Cabo Verde as winner, because she would have elevated the Miss International brand by coming back after a 2-year absence and crowning its first Black African Miss International. And that would have been, something that everybody will be talking about days after the crowning. That would have been something that would, further level up the Miss International organization and the Miss International brand, because that is something that is unheard of. It would have been the first time that they would crown a Black African or an African winner for Miss International. This is for me a huge opportunity loss for the organization, kasi nagkaroon na ng mahabang diskusyon with regards to Miss International not crowning, body is every sorry. Uh, okay. Now that every pageant has taken more, more steps towards inclusivity. I think that the Miss International should start, pondering about what does it take for them to crown a Black African in their pageant, because it's not enough that, there is just a token placement, token African or a token Black placement every year in their pageant. They really need to crown a worthy, African as Miss International, because in the end, it's not just about fairness. Yes, let them compete, let them, have, equal level playing field in the competition. But they also need to understand the optics. They need to understand that at the point where everybody is talking about being inclusive, whether it's through race, gender, ethnicity, um, religion, or whatever ideology that they have, they need to be more open, when it comes to other minorities being represented in their pageant. And looking at, at the Miss International history by continents, here's the breakdown. Europe has 21 winners, by far the biggest chunk of number of winners. If you combine North and South America together, they actually have 25 winners. South America has 14, North America has 11. Asia has 10 winners. And in that 10 winners, 6 of them is coming from the Philippines. So imagine if there's no Philippines in the Miss International competition, then Asia would only have like 4 winners. And that is, very disturbing, because in other pageants, there is maybe at least an equal opportunity win per continent in terms of distribution of winners. Oceania has 4. Oceania, essentially, these are your Australia, New Zealand, Hawaii, Guam, and other, Pacific islands. In Africa, 0. Ganun ka ano ka kasama or kapangit yung optics when it comes to the African countries. And that is also why, looking at their numbers, looking at their participation, Africa actually has very small na participation as compared to, let's say, other alpha pageants, whether it's Miss World, whether it's Miss Universe, or even Miss Earth. So I hope that the Miss International really starts looking at themselves and ask, what does it take for an African country to win Miss International? Especially the question of, what does it take for a Black African girl to become Miss International? So that, you know, um, African girls would be able to represent yung, would represent, the very ignored, I believe, na na group of countries in Miss International. And I hope, I hope that that wasn't too much too painful of a conversation because I really was hoping that finally they would um, crowning, someone of color from Africa, um, because they, it really is bad optics. There, pasensya na, medyo we went a little bit controversial and dark on that part. But let's go back to the comments and let's move forward, okay? Art Laurent, tanggap ko na hindi man tayo pwedeng manalo lagi, pero sana naman maski na runner-up placement man lang pinapwesto si Hannah. She's one of the prettiest faces and tallest that we have sent to MI. Agree. I hope Hannah joins Miss World kasi bagay din siya sa Miss World. There. Simply Lurker. Tama, Sir Jason. Europe naman, baka mawalan ng interest ng European countries sa MI kasi walang nananalo sa kanila unlike ME na malalakas ang European queens. Again, Simply Lurker, I am hoping na kasi I'm looking at optics as a whole nitong Miss International na pageant. I am hoping na yes, fine, crown an European. But I hope that they also take into consideration that they haven't crowned any Black African or African for that matter in their 60-year history. They're the only, they are the only alpha pageant na wala pang Black African winner. Unlike sa Miss Earth, where you have oh my God, I forgot her name. The one who replaced Jela Glavovic as Miss Earth. Um, uh, I think she's from Kenya, if I'm not mistaken. Later, I will check. I will check that later. But again, at least meron na silang masasabi na we have a Miss Earth who is black, who is from Africa. So, you know, I'm hoping Miss International would be able to say the same thing because Miss International has been in the pageant industry for 60 years. Miss Earth has been in the industry for just 20 years. And meron na silang black winner. So sana ganun din ang Miss International. Okay, let's go back to the comments. Bibilisan ko na to. Asan na tayo? I think si Emil Del Merced. Hannah deserve major crown, join ulit sa Miss World. Bagay siya at Supranational. At Miss Supranational, napansin ko, simpleng gown ang gusto ng Miss International sa baby face, young. I don't know. Guys, it's too difficult to say na i-push natin yung mga girls natin right after they competed this year dahil hindi ganun kadali ang mag-compete sa pageant. Parang minamaliit naman natin masyado yung na-achieve nila doon sa international competitions nila or hindi natin ina-acknowledge yung either may kontrata pa silang ongoing with the current national organization. And this is something that I've noticed din sa sa atin mga fans right after Chelsea, Roan and Gabby, when after they competed, push kaagad tayo na mag-compete sila sa ibang pageant systems. Hindi ganoon kadali 'yon kasi they have an 18-month contract with Binibining Pilipinas. Aside from that, kapagod ang ang join ng pageant. Hindi porke nanalo sila sa Binibining Pilipinas, they would automatically win in Miss World or in Miss Universe Philippines. If you notice, hindi hindi maganda yung record ng mga nagko-crossover from Binibini to MWP or NUP. So, it's not easy, hindi ganun kadali yung pagdadaanan nila if they cross over. Madaling sabihin sa atin dahil laway lang ang puhunan natin. But for them, blood, sweat, and malaking sakripisyo on their careers, on their time, on their finances, especially on the finances, na sumali ng panibagong international competition. Art Laurent is saying, sana Europe din manalo sa Miss Universe like Spain or Italy. Actually, Italy and Spain are pretty much good choices for Miss Universe sa ngayon. Kasi I've met Alicia Phobia in person, and Josa siya in person talaga. And of course, Virginia Stablum of Italy. Uh, Parang nakitaan ko sa kanya is si Denise Mendez ng Miss Italy, who competed in Miss Universe 1997. Um, Nasaan tayo? Okay. Um, okay. Another thing that I want to discuss is this comment from JJ Stark. Sabi ni JJ Stark, noon pa talaga yan. Di masyadong bet ng mga Japanese ang mga half-blooded Pinay. Melody Gersbach, Krista Kleiner, Nicole Schmidt, Bianca Guidotti, now Hannah Arnold, lahat di umabot sa Final 8. I have actually a counter-argument for that, JJ. Kasi Aurora P. Juan McKinney is part American. I'm not sure if everybody knows that fact or everybody knows that trivia. So if in essence, maniniwala tayo na ayaw nila ng mga half-blooded, then bakit nanalo si Aurora? I think that in the 90s, nung panahon na actually halos wala tayong placement sa Miss Universe, we sustained our streak because of the half-blooded Pinays that you've mentioned. I remember Susan Jane Ritter. I remember Colette Centeno, and in a host of other, half-blooded Pinay like Yeda Marie Kittles-Develt na kung wala sila, then totally zero itlog tayo sa mga international pageants in the 90s. Because in the 90s, wala tayong naipanalo na Miss Universe, Miss World, or Miss International. And the only pageant that sustained us a winning streak. In fact, pangalawa sa pinakamahabang placement streak natin happened in the 1990s, and that is, partly because of half-blooded Pinay. So let's not, wag natin na sabihin na hindi na nanalo ang mga half-blooded Pinay. Kasi that, malaking sampal naman dun sa mga half-blooded Pinay na wala pa tayong sash factor noon, nagpa-place sa Miss International year in, year out. Diba? So, let's also, be sensitive and be mindful that if it weren't for these ladies, then wala tayong maipagmamalaki na isa tayo doon sa mga madalas na nagpe-place sa Miss International. Ayun. Ito, Bandy, I don't think na yung styling niya was a big factor sa competition kasi maganda naman yung kanyang national costume, maganda naman yung kanyang gown. I would have preferred though that for her evening gown, nakataas yung kanyang hair. But then again, ano pa ba ang kailangan nating sabihin or ipintas or ipuna when si Hana na nga yung nag-iisang Asian nakapasok? Parang I don't know what, parang it's academic na lang yung conversation natin on what could have been or what she could have done to make the changes or make the results any different, 'di ba? Parang maybe it was just a simple reason that wala sa kanya ang swerte. Wala sa atin ang swerte this year. Hindi tama yung sinabi ni Gabi na hindi naman araw-araw Pasko ganyan. So and that's her explanation with regards to not winning Miss Intercontinental. Trin TV, what do you think when Miss International Vietnam is out of the top 15? She's so beautiful and talented. I don't understand why she's out. Same thing. I was expecting at least one or two slots at the minimum to come from Asia, and I was shocked when as I was looking over the list of semifinalists, it was only evident that oh my God, only Philippines made it through. I was actually expecting, maybe Vietnam to make it because if I'm not mistaken, she learned how to speak Japanese when before competing. So I thought that kind of good faith that she's shown learning the language would have earned her points for being able to engage a little bit more in terms of styling, in terms of her national costume, in terms of her wardrobe. I have no anything, anything that I could nitpick on because I think she was on point. And just maybe this year really didn't want to crown an Asian. That is why it baffles that there. On one hand, we have people saying that Hannah's styling wasn't at its best. It wasn't at the peak. It wasn't always on point. And here we have someone like Miss Vietnam who is always looking impeccable, not making it into the semis. So maybe wardrobe is not an issue here. Maybe it's just that the judges were looking at a different direction, or they had um, they had, I don't know, a tunnel vision on what the kind of person that they want to crown for this year. So maybe just that it. It's not because they're Asians are not winnable this year, but maybe um, the luck is just not with us in this year's competition. It's simple as that. Gerard, sigurado. Pero wala naman yatang paki ang Japanese sa marketability ng eventual winner o sa advocacy. Basta may gusto silang panalunin, regardless of perks na makukuha nila sa candidate, doon sila leaning. Okay, that's a good thing to point out. Kasi Miss International, kasi hodang mangorona sila ng hindi popular na winner, kukoronahan nila yung gusto nilang koronahan based on, scores and tabulation and everything. I think being a pageant that is funded by the Japanese government allows them that kind of freedom na hindi sila umaasa sa sponsor, hindi sila umaasa sa they don't rely on outside forces when it comes to funding. And that gives, certain freedom, certain ability to do things their own way. And with that kind of freedom, they can select whoever they want, irregardless if the winner is a commercial, is going to be a commercial hit, or whether or not she's going to be popular. There. Nasaan na tayo? Wait lang, nasaan na tayo? I think we are with Hajiev na. Um, I will I will be making this a little bit faster na kasi isang oras na tayo mahigit na nag-uusap, and I still have one major point to discuss. Nasaan na? Hajiev, ayun si Hajiev. I have to say, mas nagustuhan ko ang production values ng Miss Earth, pero both orgs talaga need to learn time management. Hope magsunod-sunod improvements befitting their alpha pageant status. Agree. Um, I think when it comes to the pacing, mas mabilis yung sa Miss World. Ay, Miss Earth. Sorry, Miss Earth. My only problem with Miss Earth is the segments where the talakaton was taking too much time, eating too much time that could have been served for other, better segments. With Miss International, mabagal talaga yung mga segments. Walang masyadong variety in terms of, okay, may talakaton muna dito, or may video viewing on this segment so that magkaroon ng um, break doon sa monotony ng pageant. Yon. Siguro maybe in the future, they will be able to find ways to fill in, those areas that they need to fill in para it would look more palatable and not look very monotonous. I don't think that Miss International is very boring. I think that it's just monotonous, and that is why people mistake it as boring because it's very monotonous yung pacing, yung kabuuan ng pageant nila. Hello! Ayan, kumusta? Good evening sa'yo. He's saying, may buhay siya sa New Zealand. Pageant fanatic siya sa Australia. Her family is based in Daniel P. Yuzon. Hi, Sir Jason. Sorry, I'm a bit late. Value. JJ Stark saying, if we look back sa roster of winners, wait, if we look back sa roster of natin sa MI or even yung mga pumapasok sa Final 8, lahat Pinay na walang foreign blood. Again, JJ Stark, just look at Aurora Pijuan. Okay? Naku, Winnicott, hindi ko babasahin itong ano mo. Itong comment mo na to. Kasi type ko si ano eh. Gusto ko yung girl. She looks really, really beautiful. Anyway, nasaan na ba tayo? Joe Martin Gutierrez. Actually, it's awesome that hindi dark-colored hair and skin yung nanalo. Very new and refreshing to the eye. Nakakatawa lang talaga na Caucasians yung year ngayon. Di ako magugulat if MU and ME will follow. Tapos na ang ME. Korea na po ang nanalo sa Miss Earth, Jose Martin Gutierrez. But again, I think Miss International went back to their formulaic winner, Barbihan, Caucasian, blue-eyed, and blonde. A lot of their winners actually from the 90s is on that same vein. I can remember. I can just in the top of my head. I remember Annalena Hansen of Norway, blonde, blue-eyed, 5'8" na winner. And then you also have Consuelo Adler from Venezuela. She's also, if I'm not mistaken, blue-eyed, blonde, and 5'9", 5'10", yung kanyang height. So, next, let's have Danielle P. Yuzon. Hi, Sir Jason. Sorry, I am late. Ask ko lang if Cabo, nabasa ko na pala to. Sorry, Daniel. Fan, may idea po kayo kung ano ang new title sa Binibini next year? May chance ba na bumili kang Miss World? Ayoko muna magsalita kasi meron akong nalalaman na hindi ko pa pwedeng isplok dahil ayoko mawalan ako ng accreditation sa Binibining Pilipinas because that is the only accreditation that matters to me. I've never applied for accreditation for any other national pageant na pinayagan ako na mag-cover ng kanilang mga activities. Binibining Pilipinas has my loyalty simply because they invited me to cover their pageants. Other pageants kasi either other pageants outside Binibini na national pageants sa Pilipinas talagang wala akong amor na mag-apply ng ng what do you call this ng accreditation. I was hoping when I reached out actually to Mutya ng Pilipinas but they never got back at me kung paano mag-apply for accreditation. I am quite glad though that Miss Earth not Miss Philippines Arta, Miss Earth mismo, the international competition, when I asked and simply reached out to them if I can I cover their finals in Okada, Manila. Very accommodating sila. So yun. And there's a difference there because it's an international competition, diba? Pero yun nga, ayoko munang i-explode fan kasi mahirap na. May pinakita kasi sa akin na in confidential, in confidence talaga nung nagpakita sa akin. So, ayoko naman na, alam mo yun, mapahamak siya. Ayan. Gerard Asigurado, okay. Sabi niya, learning points this year, do not send a girl na on the mature side kasi ma-ageism sila. Also, clearly, mas lumalakas ang idea na racist sila sa black people with no winner was crowned, with no black African winner crowned yet. At JJ Stark, okay, wait lang, nawala. Ayun kasi, naglalaktaw kasi yung comment section. Ayan, si J.J. Stark, sabi niya, at fan, malabo bumalik Miss World PH sa BBP, nag-announce ng NWP ng October 23, 2023 for their final national pageant. Rolando Antonio Jr. Is saying, walang mali kay Hannah, ganun talaga. They wanted other girls to win. Nakakasawa din na laging Pinay ang nananalo. Yari and si BD says, Nicole Borromeo will be competing MI next year. She's now 22 years old. So, we're still within the safe age range. Simple lurker, buti na lang tayo ang nakapasok na Asian sa top 15. Kapitbahay na may narrative na kaya nakapasok si Hannah gawa ng photographer na Pinoy. Diyos ko talaga ang pag-iisip. They were paid for their services if I'm not if I'm not mistaken. So wala sila sa judging table. In fact, eto na, pag-uusapan na natin since judging na yung pinag-uusapan ni Simple Lurker dito. Eto Simple Lurker, pambato sa kanila. Tatagalungin ko to ha dahil medyo sensitibo to. Yung matandaan nyo yung si Dewi Sukarno. Former First Lady ng Indonesia. And there is a urban legend that as long as she sits at the judging table, no Filipina will win Miss International. And in fact, that urban myth has been broken when Lara Kigaman won Miss International in 2005, where she actually sat as one of the judges. Pero ngayon kasi, sa dinami-dami ng mga taon na nag-judge siya sa sa Miss International pageant, kadalasan either ligwak or semifinalist na ang Pilipinas. And marami ang nagsasabi na dahil malaking impluwensya niya sa organisasyon bilang isa sa mga kapita-pitagang dilag, babae, tao na nakatira sa bansa nila. Kaya siya nabibigyan ng ganung importansya. Ngayon, ang problema kasi doon is I believe in the 1970s or the 1980s, nagkaroon yan ng hidwaan sa isa sa mga socialite natin sa Pilipinas. I think it happened outside of the country na nagkaroon ng issue yung dalawa at nagkaroon ng violenteng sitwasyon, pagkakataon na nakapanakit na itong judge, itong naging judge na to doon sa Pinay na socialite. At may kwento pa na isang basag na champagne glass winasiwas niya sa mukha nung Pinay na socialite at nagsampa ng kaso dahil kinailangan nung Pinay na socialite ng stitches para ayusin yung mukha niya after siyang saktan nung former first lady. So doon nagsimula yung nosyon na kapag may Pinay na sumasali sa Miss International at nandun yung former First Lady, hindi tayo pinapanalo dahil malaki ang impluwensya niya sa org. So I think that's something that I don't know if you believe in that story, if you want to believe in that story kasi there was one Filipina who disproven that theory na hindi tayo mananalo hanggang judge siya. So it's up to you on how are you going to interpret that information. Ayan. Mark Gonzalez clarified for us that Winfred Omwakwe was the African Miss Earth Air na pumalit kay Jela Glavavovic. Okay, yon. I think Winfred was from Kenya, if I'm not mistaken. So at least with Miss Earth, we can say there is a African winner there. Daniel P. Yuson Jr., Sir Jason, may iba lang tayo. Sa assessment mo, anong pinagkakaiba ng pageants back in the 90s compared sa present? Okay, in the 90s, especially for Miss International ha, you ramdam mo yung preference ng organization sa mga Caucasian or Caucasian-blooded na mga candidates. And that is why in the 1990s, if you look at their history, majority of their winners are actually from Europe. And if you look at their overall history, it shows that they have preference talaga for European winners. Even actually, their first winner, which is Madame Stella Marquez Araneta, she actually has Polish blood in her. Because Madame Stella, when she was still a singer, her full name was Stella Marquez Zawadzki. Zawadzki is yung apelyido ng nanay ni Madame Stella. And that gives you an idea that throughout the years, there is always a preference of the Japanese organization, or rather the Japanese pageant, for European winners. And that is why in the 90s, there was this series of wins na ano ba yun, na parang sunod-sunod mga Europeans. I think it's wait lang. Let me just open a tab here. Okay. It started, just take a look at this. In 1991, Poland won. Let's start in 1990. Kasi 1990 sa pinag-uusapan natin. 1990, Spain won. 1991, it was Poland. 1992 was Australia. 1993 was Poland again. 1994 is Greece. 1995 is Norway. 1996 is Portugal. And then in 97, 98, and 99, those are all